Let's take the discussion forward with a company which has made a lot of money for investors who held on, and that is UNO Minda. Look at the returns. The stock has actually added a lot of value if you look at the long term chart. Right now, it is in focus because there are certain OEMs, auto companies, which have already started implementing 6 airbags in their bigger version of the cars. And the word on the street is that it's only about time. The industry wouldn't really wait for regulation from the government side. They'll be proactive, and the direction the industry will actually take is higher airbags as far as the bigger version of passenger cars are concerned. This is one company which has exposure in the airbag segment, and we are joined by the management now, who is joining us now. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Talk to us about the way airbag consumption in an average passenger car, the direction it is actually taking, and what is the global average, if you could just share.
Yeah. So, good morning, Ajay, and good morning, friends. So, in terms of the airbags, we all know that government, in its endeavor to strengthen the passenger safety at the top of its mind, has earlier mandated the 6 airbags mandatory, which recently has been sort of submerged into the Bharat NCAP rating. So, the rating of the car will be done as per the airbags or the safety systems of the entire vehicle which is there. So, earlier, if you see in India, normally, if you go a couple of decades back, the airbag used to be only in the luxury segment cars. Now, today, you see that even the A segment, B segment cars are anyway coming up with at least 2 airbags, which is the driver and the co-passenger. And since last 1 year, I think a lot of OEMs have been proactive in increasing number of airbags. So if you see today, cars are anywhere ranging from 4 airbags to somewhere around 8 airbags in the luxury segment or the top end of the car. Globally, if you see, 4 airbags is something which is a sort of a mandate. You will find on an average 4 airbags in a car, and gradually the direction we are moving towards, we will see the same trend in India as well. And this with the Bharat NCAP rating there, and like we have for power, like 1 star, 2 star, 5 star rating, same way you will have the safety ratings also, and let the consumer decide as to what he is comfortable with in terms of the safety of the vehicle by the rating. So that's the trajectory we are looking at, from a low-end car, which is A segment, B segment, of 2 airbags to maybe 4 to 6 airbags in the near future.
Right. So just to understand then from you, how much do airbags overall contribute to your revenue? And do you see now with, all that you spoke of, this revenue contribution to the overall pie increasing?
Yeah. So if we see in terms of our business, the way it is structured, so the airbag business is with one of our joint venture partner, and as per whatever the accounting standards are, the revenue from the airbag doesn't form part of our consolidated revenues. But if we see from independently, the revenues from airbag business currently is around 500-600 crores. We are investing 150 crores in expanding our airbag plant at Nimrana, and we are looking at our airbag revenue in the near future expanding to 1,500 crores kind of a range in next 3 to 4 years.
Right. The segments that did well for you, and I'm just purely going by the first quarter trend, was sensors, controllers, and EV parts. Clearly, one is seeing increased usage of these in cars right nowadays. How do you see an increase in penetration in these segments? And are we still import dependent when it comes to some of these parts?
So sensors are largely now domestically produced. In fact, we have been consistently increasing our sensor business. We have guided sensor and controller business to be around 500-600 crores over 5 years, but we have achieved that in, I think, between 3 and 4 years average kind of a range. So our sensor controller business is much more than what we have guided today. The localization in sensors has been really nice over last few years, but still there are some critical sensors which are being imported. But if we see from the EV part ecosystem, you mentioned that the second segment. So there are more than 250, 300 kind of OEMs which are there in the country. So people are having small facilities. They are importing the parts, assembling and selling the two-wheeler or a three-wheeler segment. So still there are a lot of players who are doing cheaper imports. But with the government incentive policy, be it PLI or FAME incentive, which mandates minimum 50% domestic GVA, this will definitely force people to source locally. And there is a huge opportunity to localize the entire ecosystem of EV products. And as you know that we have been speaking to you also, that the kind of ecosystem we have built or the profile we have built for EV is unparalleled in the industry. So we have a very wide variety of EV product, but definitely it again boils down to what is the customer strategy in terms of what he wants to do in-house or what he wants to outsource. But we definitely have a very, very wide product portfolio from an EV system, and there is a huge scope for growth in the near future.
Sunil, you were talking about increasing your business from sensors. That brings me, I was just thinking the other day, over the years, Indian automobile manufacturers are witnessing a very sharp surge in electronification. Small things which are run by electronics and sensors and battery run stuff in a premium car, say 10-15 years back, is now available in a average, starting end car. And we are only seeing that going up. Have you looked at what kind of composition of your business is actually coming from more electronification of an average car?
In fact, Ajayji, the more and more business we are adding, if you exclude the alloy wheel part or the aluminum part, the large addition is primarily on the electronic side. Now, it is while sensors definitely are increasing. I take an example like, as you rightly mentioned, 5 years, so 10 years, 15 years back, maybe a small tire pressure sensor or a rain sensor or a light sensor used to be luxury. Now today it's in a basic car, right? But if you see from electronic segment, we always say that the car, which was a mechanical instrument, now is getting more into electronics heavy than mechanicals, like electromechanical equipment. So you see a lot of things are getting into electronics, be it in addition to sensors, you see a lot of electronics are coming into the central console, the switches, which were the lever-based switches, now getting into touch-based switches. There are a lot of electronics which are built in ambient lighting, the LED lighting. So the cost of electronic component in the vehicle has been actually increasing by the day. And you are 100% right. The electronics value in a vehicle, even in our businesses, has been increasing significantly over the last few years. And we expect this trend to even continue.
What about the updates then on the four-wheeler switch plants in Chennai and Farrukhnagar? Can you just update us in terms of how they could potentially help your overall top line?
Yeah, so we have been expanding, as you rightly mentioned, the plant in Chennai because we are facing space constraints. The business has been doing really well. The expansion, definitely we are expecting to add revenues of almost 250 to 300 crore per year. In terms of Farrukhnagar expansion, so what our strategy is that we don't want multiple plants in the same location, right? Because it increases to cost. You're not able to take the benefit of operating leverage, etc. So we do have a current plant in Gurgaon, which is in Manesar, and we are facing space constraint there. So Farrukhnagar is just like 15 kilometers ahead from our existing plant, and we are building a much bigger plant. So our strategy is even the existing plant gradually moves out there. And in terms of capacity, we are working to double or triple that capacity over the next 8 to 10 years. That's the kind of flexibility we are building at the new location so that it is easily sort of able to meet the demand for next 10 to 15 years of growth.
Okay, good to have you on board. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining in, giving us more perspective on the overall business.